Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what he got going on, to be honest with you. So, but you doing okay? You probably felt like, we probably are both in the same boat as far as our teams go. Because I was telling somebody, I was like, I wasn't even like this weekend was not one of those weekends where you went into with this this confidence of, coming out. I went into it hoping I hit got the right six numbers, like, that's how.
Hoping you got lucky.
Right, right. This I was like, can I get three of the six numbers? Like, can I get a couple bucks? Like I wasn't even asking for the jackpot, man. But
I I was hoping. Well, let me say this. One, I believe we could have won. I'm not surprised we didn't.
yeah,
However, I was hoping if we lost, we would have had a better showing than what we
like people always
had.
talking about more victories. I'm like, there is in playoffs, man. You don't want to get embarrassed. You don't want to go out
I
like that.
was I was frustrated because defense had actually gotten back to, like week 6, week 7 defense where they weren't giving up the ghost completely.
Hmm.
And then offense couldn't get anything together. I was like, y'all are absolutely killing me. Because defense, it was the 16 points, which shout out to them for holding them to field goals 3 of the times they got down here to the end zone. And then they went scoreless until the fourth quarter. After mid-second quarter, they didn't score again until the fourth quarter. So defense pitched a shutout for like 2 quarters. They did their job. So I was like, if offense could just get something, anything going, it would have been okay. But
Do you see the parallels of what happened in your game to what happened to my Dolphins? Same thing. The
well,
de-
I didn't get to watch your game
so
because
so so, but
it
no,
was it
here's
was streaming
yeah,
and I haven't had a chance to
on
watch
that
the
bird
replay.
network, yeah. But yeah, I'm not giving them any. Nope, I'm not saying the word. But yeah, it
Right.
was a very similar situation where the Dolphins defense, Patrick Mahomes, they go down the field,
Mm-hmm.
stall them in the red zone, field goal. They go down the field, stall in the red zone, they got a touchdown, they got one. But then the halftime score, their kicker had kicked. I think the halftime score was like 16-7 because we kept stopping them for field goals. We stopped them. They got to the red zone 4 times and we made a kick 3 field goals in the first half. And so
Right. Like
if offense,
that was us. The
right,
halftime score was 16-9.
right. And
I
so
was
you're sitting
like,
there thinking to your point yourself, okay, all right, everybody take a breath. Okay, offense, let's get at least three. And then the Dolphins came out in the third. I didn't watch the Eagles game in this entirety. I kept watching pieces of it. I don't know what the hell I was doing. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was at the South Carolina women's game, and I was coming home.
okay,
I missed, so I was listening to it on my as I was driving home. So I couldn't watch it because I didn't want to get in a car accident. But
that's fair. We appreciate that
but
about you.
but I'm just saying the same thing happened. The Dolphins come out, they get the ball. They're only down, you know what I'm saying? Maybe one score and you're back in it, three and out.
Right.
They go three and out. And when I say three and out, it wasn't even like they gained a yard. They lost 2 yards. Like and then it was just like the defense, we were already like bandaged up to your point. A lot of similarities. Because when I look back at the Eagles game, I'm like, it was a lot of parallels to what happened with the Dolphins and the Eagles.
Yeah.
This week.
Except I
A
feel
lot of
like your
parallels.
defense probably tackled way better than my defense.
We did, but not necessarily because there was this one play where Patrick Mahomes scrambled and the linebackers and the safety did like this and then stopped and he ran right through them and ran for a first down. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, are y'all that cold? Like, maybe it was the cold. Maybe they didn't want to hit him. I don't know. But
Listen, I was so
I saw the
frustrated.
tackling. I saw the tackling fiasco that was going on with the Eagles. Though I
I
saw
mean,
highlights. I was
Bama,
like, that's crazy.
it legit looked
That's
like
crazy.
something where you first get your pee wee people on the field and they don't know no better.
It looked like
Bama's was
seven on
running
seven.
into
That's what it looked like. 7-on-7. That's what it looked
yeah,
like.
Bama's was running into each other And I was like, what are we doing? I said, so what are we doing? And Matt Patricia once again put Hassan Reddick out there in coverage. If I don't get breaking news tomorrow that he is gone, I might flip something over.
You might. I'm telling you, man.
And to be clear, when I say he, I mean Matt Patricia. I don't want Nick Sirianni fired.
No, I think it's just that's.
I don't. All the emotional Eagle fans that are trying to fire this man and all of this stuff, like sit down somewhere and shut up. We're 11 months off of Super Bowl, and you're not going to win all the time. Things go wrong. Sometimes the wheels fall off.
And I think but
you got to give a coach a chance to fix it.
That's why
you can't just keep firing coaches.
That's what my comment was when I sent back. I was saying you guys lost two highly talented coordinators last year.
Yeah.
And you think you replace them with certain people, but sometimes it don't work out. And it ain't the coach's fault. And then you had some key players out, and you could try to coach around it. But again, what I found out with my team, and people have found out with different teams, certain coaches aren't that good enough to coach around everything. It just doesn't. And some of them, to your point, are doing boneheaded stuff. I was commenting like on Mike McDaniel. I'm like, you can't get but so hard headed, dude. Like against certain teams, and it was like almost like he got so
obstinate fight to we just not gonna run the ball.
We ain't gonna run the ball, and we gonna always try to.
Just like, when we played them at the beginning of the season, Swift had by himself 140 yards.
I thought he had
ran for 200 and something.
I mean, he had all purpose. He had the team ran for 200, and he had like 140.
Yeah, he had like 140, 130, something like that. But we ran for 207.
Mm-hmm.
So going into this game, we're clear. If you give it a moment, you can run the ball on Tampa.
And that's the way we felt about the Chiefs, and somehow we did.
And we ran the ball 14 times last night. 14 times. And we threw the ball about 50. Like, what are we doing? That was super frustrating. And that was coaching. And part of that is Nick Sirianni's fault.
But
part of it's Brian Johnson's fault.
But you put your trust in your coordinators to figure it out and to trust.
I expect you to be able to figure it out because again, we got one of the best O-lines in the league, and your answer to using them is we gonna drop back 50 times. What? No, let them dudes create the massive size holes that they are great at creating. What are we doing?
Some O-lines are a lot better, and most O-lines are better moving forward than backwards.
Right. And let me just say, I've never met an O-lineman that's like, you know what, my favorite thing to do is pass. They're all like, let me run.
But the bottom line is it's not even that, right? It's just true ergonomics of it. Why would a 300-pound person want to walk backwards when they can walk forwards? Right. So
right. Listen, because a 200-pound person don't want to walk backwards. Right. They can walk forward.
Right. If I can walk forward, why am I walking backwards? And then I'm not only walking backwards, but I'm walking backwards, fitting off another 270-pound person. In some cases, another 300-pound person. I'm trying to push them backwards this way while I'm moving this way. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'd rather move that way, but it was a lot of parallels. I'll tell you that you didn't see the Dolphins Chiefs game. It was a lot of parallels and a lot of things that were really similar to what I saw in the result of the Eagles game. I was like, that's the same stuff that the Dolphins were doing. We didn't want to run the ball. We got Tua dropping back. Cats falling like flies in this cold weather. And I'm sitting there thinking there's an easy remedy to all of this. And I'm saying this, and in the second quarter, I'm saying run the ball, shorten the game, run the ball, shorten the game. Let's see what happens. And A-Chain.
Let's just see. Like let's just try this and see
what's going to happen if you throw the ball in the cover 2 in the cold. Tua's arm is okay. We know it's not that strong. It's not gonna cut through that coat. Like it was just so, like Jalen threw a couple of nice passes at one point and everything. But to your point, I mean, what works. Like Baker Mayfield, it was interesting when they interviewed him. He was basically, probably his thought in his head was thinking like, thank you guys for not doing what you did last time, because you're literally securing me a job right now.
Right, like we just got Baker Mayfield a job for another.
Right, we just got him another 2-year contract.
You're welcome, Baker. You're welcome.
Right.
But I will say this: shout out to Smitty coming back off of that ankle sprain and not looking like he had spent a day off the field with the ankle sprain.
Yeah, he played
Smitty
well.
Balled last night.
He played well, but I mean, that's
Smitty
what you expect though.
Dallas Goedert.
When your 1A is out, you expect your 1B to step up.
But I also expect my tight end to step up. And Dallas Goedert dropped 5 passes last night. What, sir?
And then there was a scene when he was fussing at Jalen about something.
He was fussing at Jalen, but it was actually his fault. That pass, that instance, if you remember, where Smitty and Goddard ended up in the same spot. Goddard, look, after the game, he was like, I realized I missed the audible. He didn't hear the audible. He was supposed to be the guy cutting inside. And he running the same route as Smitty because he didn't hear the audible. So, you mad at Jalen because you didn't hear the audible?
That team, your team, I will say this. I mean, it looked like the Dolphins had expectations of being good, but realistically, I don't know if we had expectations of Super Bowl. And then when we started winning games, of course, if you win more games than you lose early on, then people put you in that category and that expectation. Right. We all had expectations of the Eagles being one of those teams because we felt like even though y'all lost your coordinators, you still had decent players. You had drafted some good guys, like and you still had good veterans. Kelsey came back. You picked up Swift, and it just seems like I'm not saying it's bigger disappointment than that. I'm not even gonna get into all that because it's all around. Just it is what it is. But I think the Eagles, everybody's looking at the Eagles kind of like man, what happened? This collapse and everything. And I basically was telling somebody, I was like, guys, it is very, and I'm not saying this to say that the Eagles couldn't have done it. It's very rare that teams get back. It just football is so many variables now, especially with the coachings. Because I brought that up because in the past, and I'm talking just maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 at the most, coordinators didn't jump like that. Like most guys would just stay for 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? And they would be situation.
Like Ben Johnson in Detroit. Like Ben Johnson last year was sought after several times to be a head coach somewhere last season, and he was like, I got more to do in Detroit.
Right, and I think that's what your boy gonna do in with the Texans. Slowick, what we talked about last week, the guy from San Francisco.
He was like, I got more to do. He was like, I got more to do in Detroit. He felt like he had unfinished business. He also felt like he had more to learn.
Yeah, that's why Josh, look, we know Josh McDaniels has now proven twice that he's not a good head coach, but we all can agree that he's probably, as far as an offensive coordinator, I mean, now you got Brady, but offensive coordinator, but when he stayed, when those guys, people talk about the Brady years and all that, but they kept a lot of coordinators for 5 and 6 years, buckets.
Yeah, because Charlie Weiss and Romeo Crennel, they had the same coordinators for the 3P. Right,
and then Josh comes in and he was there 6-7 years, took a hiatus to Denver, came back for 4 or 5 years, won 2 Super Bowls, went back. So my point is that when you see these coordinators, when they get in and they get, a team wins, and then just like that, they leave, you have to put it in reality that some expectations that the team is not, just because the players are the same, and you would expect, the head coach is the same. But we know that coaching matters on all levels. You got to have coaches at the top, at the bottom. And if you don't have guys in there that's not good, especially grown men that have contracts and all this. I'm not saying the Eagles have egos or anything like that, but it's hard.
Well, also, too, though, we lost both our coordinators, and both the coordinators that replaced them were first-time coordinators. Normally, that doesn't happen either.
That's true. And that's enough. Normally, if you can bring back in a veteran or somebody.
Your next coordinator or at least one of the coordinators, has done this before. We had two brand new coordinators that had never been a DC or a OC anywhere.
And I would be, and one of the things that I was telling somebody, I was talking, was it Previn or whatever, but I said that for the Dolphins situation, people talk about Tua, people talk about this, talk about that, and I said to myself, this is, if I'm not mistaken, then this Mike McDaniel's second year, as a coach. I was like, so he's got
last year was his first year, right?
Right.
Yeah,
so I said he literally made the playoffs in his first 2 years, and he still needs to learn how to coach in the playoffs. I said, but me watching Hard Knocks and knowing some of the coaches, like I knew the coordinators, but I know some, like Wes Welker is a receiver coach, and some other guys. Obviously, these guys need that. This experience, I hope, would now say, we didn't have the Super Bowl expectations this year, but we had expectations to be good, possibly win the division.
Right.
We know that, lurking, because we didn't think the Chiefs were going to be not as good. You know what I'm saying? But we thought like maybe the Chargers might step up finally, or maybe, we knew Baltimore. But the bottom line is, I'm like, those coaches need to be better. They need to, like,
right.
You have a lot of injuries, but the coaches, it's obvious when you watch the game. You can say this with your team. I'm saying it with mine. Coaches need to be better. They just need to be better, because some of these guys are like, you can tell they weren't prepared to play in that play the Chiefs. And it's obvious that the Eagles just seem like on defense, yeah.
Well,
I was expecting your offense to figure it out. That's what I guess what I'm getting to.
I feel like with Brian Johnson, he's our OC, and I don't like, people been screaming for him to be fired since like week 2. Yeah,
that's the world now.
Right. And I kept saying, I was like, guys, he's new. But also you could tell, like, he somewhere along the line, he lost the gift of halftime adjustments. because really, like, that stretch where we were winning those games ugly, it was halftime adjustments. Like, we would go in and we would be like, I don't know what we're doing. And we would come out at halftime in the second and the third quarter, and you'd be like,
put yourself in a position to win.
And you're like, oh, okay. Well, now we're running the ball to help combat the blitz, and we're doing this and we're doing that. And in these last 7 weeks, I was like, so we're not adjusting at halftime. We're just gonna keep doing what we were doing in the first half. That wasn't working. Okay, like, I mean, and with the exception of the Cardinals game. Because offense wasn't bad the Cardinals game. That wasn't the problem. It was defense. Like, defense, because again, we were up 21-6 against the Cardinals, and we lost 33 or 34 to 31. That's defense. That's defense all day.
I mean, once you establish a lead, it's kind of like one of those things in the game. It's like you can't dismiss either side of the ball, even special teams. But once the dynamic of the game gets to a certain point, you look at the situation and you point to the side that says, okay, offense, you need to be, or defense, So yeah, you up 21-6, and going into half, and you up. The defense needs to get enough stops, and the offense is like, look. Because that's what I said. That's what I told somebody. I said, we held the Chiefs. Offense gave you another 10 points. We held the Chiefs to 26 points in the cold at home, and we only could generate 9 points. Like 10 points. Like,
and honestly, because we did the brotherly shove.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe that.
Well, actually, funny but true story. Tampa Bay stopped us earlier in the season. There were 2 teams that stopped us this year doing the brotherly shove. Tampa Bay was the first team to do it. But also that blatant face mask on Jalen during that play. Y'all just not gonna call that? They were pulling by his head.
Well, the referees have been pretty bad. I mean, again this year, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but I'm like, guys, that's all over dangerous. Like, they just snatching that man and trying to drag him off the pile by his helmet. Come on, somebody see that. Like,
yeah, that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, I was just like, that right there. No, we're not throwing a flag on that. Okay, fine.
Well, and after that, it's almost kind of like it was writing on the wall for me. I was like, this ain't gonna be the Eagles' night. They not going. If they didn't execute the
but I was
shove
just
and they ain't
like,
getting no calls, I'm like, this ain't gonna be Eagles night.
yeah, I was like, we didn't get not nary a call because there was PI all over the place. But we were accustomed to not getting PI calls, the holding, like it was just stupid. And again, I'm not blaming the refs for that loss at all.
No.
Because that wasn't the thing. Like defense could have tackled somebody. They could have tackled anybody. I could have tackled better than they had. Like it was terrible. Offense, like I said, offense just didn't play well. And what I hate the most is that was Jason Kelce's last game.
When he walked off the field, and everybody, I was like, just like I said, because the way he looked is the reason why I posted what I posted about Aaron Donald. When they showed the clips of Aaron Donald, he was hugging Rams coaches and looking around for people. I'm thinking to myself, why are you hugging the Rams coaches? I was like, this might be his last game. So when Jason Kelce was walking around and stuff, I was like, damn. I just thought about it. I said, this is probably his last game. I think he gonna be out. Sure enough.
Well, last year after the Super Bowl, most of us thought that was going to be his last game. Like most of everybody. And if you've watched the documentary, he contemplated long and hard about retiring. And honestly, I feel like because of the way we lost, and then also the guys were talking to him too, because they were like, guys, like we can run it back, because like all the offense basically was still there. Like they were like, we can run this back. But also people kind of were talking about how, how the folks get to chippering and chattering, and they wanted to tell you washed up and you can't play no more and you can't this and that and the third. Mm-hmm. And so, when he announced that he was coming back on his Twitter, basically he was like, I've heard what you've been saying. I'm not effing done. I'm coming back. Mm-hmm. I got more in me. I was like, let's go. Because once he said he was coming back, I was like, let's go. We're going to run this back. I was like, Howie, let's do it. Get defense back. Let's make it happen. And so I really feel like everybody was so, part of the issue too was everybody was so focused on getting back to the Super Bowl that once we made the playoffs, they were like, okay, we're here. No, we're not. We're not here. Like, fix the stuff that hasn't been working, because again, we were leaking oil all season.
And you know what? I'm sorry to keep comparing the teams, because think about it. The Dolphins were leading their division, had 10 wins. The Eagles were leading their division, had 10 wins, and then we both wound up going on the road. Lost the division and wound up going on the road and then lost. I'm like, both teams look the same.
I was just like, it was so frustrating. It was just so frustrating.
Like both of us was thinking, hey, we gonna win the division. Y'all was in the situation, might get a 1 seed. We was in the situation, might get a 1 seed, and then just terrible. Holy crap, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, so shout out to CJ Stroud, boy. Look.
Listen,
I'm sitting there cutting the game on. I'm sitting there trying to catch up, doing stuff. I was like, so this kid ain't even thrown the ball 20 times. He got 3 touchdowns. Like, what is going? He is out here. He is like
Browns.
Like that is precision. Let me talk to you about
that number 1 Browns defense getting ran. I was like, what is happening right now?
And
they were
had
not
something
prepared
today
for the motions and the shifts and the speed. They were not.
But here's the funny part about it is that you almost think about it from a standpoint of like, it's the number 1 defense. Like, you remember we were making the picks, and I can't even remember who I picked. I don't want to pick the Browns or the Texans. I think I might have picked the Texans, or maybe I don't know. And I think I picked the Browns because you brought up the stat about the Browns going up against a rookie quarterback, and I was like,
I think I swayed you and Rod on that pick.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay being wrong, because it's refreshing. And like, I'm not rooting against the Browns by any means. I ain't got a dog in the race, but just to see, just like when you see something and you think is real, and then you hesitate, and then he goes out and does that, you're like, damn, this boy's good.
Yeah, like I was like
we're not gonna anoint him, but damn, he's coming.
Yeah, I was like, wow. When I was watching it, because I was just some of the stuff, and there are still some nuances where you're like, oh, there were some plays where you're like, yeah, he misread that in the defense, but he's young, so you expect him to misread some defense stuff. But there's some stuff where you're looking at him, and I was watching the game, and I was like, he's about to be a real problem in another 2-3 years. Like, he's about to be.
And I guess my thing is, he reminds me so much of the style of what Joe Burrow did, like, the couple of years. But like the throw, his way he throws it, it's like no throw he can't make. It's like throw he's scared to make.
Yeah,
like they're putting him in, and they're putting him in a position.
Fearless.
Yeah, they're putting him in a position where he's making quality throws. You could tell, and like I had told y'all early in the season, I had watched the game, week 5, week 6, and they were showing a lot of the replays, and you could see his head was like, like he was literally doing what a quarterback
he does go through his progressions better than I've ever seen a rookie.
Like it was textbook. I mean, they're gonna be a tough out, man. Who do they play next? Who they got next?
The Ravens.
And look, here's what I'm gonna say. We don't know. It seems like the defense plays like they play free because they think, hey, we got our quarterback's gonna go do some things. The Ravens better not come out slow.
Oh, I mean,
if they come out slow, they're gonna be down 14-0.
If I remember correctly, the Ravens, because I want to say they played the Texans week 2 or 3.
I'm about to look it up right now because I think you're right.
Yeah, they played each other earlier this season, and I feel like for some reason that was a close game that the Ravens almost lost. I might be wrong.
No,
because I feel like they were a part of the shaky start that the Ravens had. Because didn't the Ravens start like 1-2?
I don't know. I'm looking it up right now. No, so you know what? No. This was the very first game of the season.
Okay.
It was the first game, and it was the game where Stroud. The defense was like, we're gonna show like he was getting hit, the offensive line. It was really, I think, before the Texans got their footing on understanding what they were gonna do.
So it was it wasn't what I so it was.
Yeah, it was the very first week of the season. They beat them 25-9, which okay, whatever. But because at halftime the score was 7-6. So and then the Ravens jumped on them in the third quarter. But yeah, I remember watching part of that game. Stroud was kind of, he wasn't hesitant. His O-line, he got sacked like 5 or 6 times in the game. He really he didn't throw any picks or anything. He didn't, but he just wasn't able to be effective. So I think after that game, people were like, I don't know, we're gonna see, that kind of thing. And then next thing you know, they started balling. But the point is, the football that they're playing now, we know the Ravens is good, but sometimes that week, I'm thinking that week. I mean, I'm gonna take the Ravens. I'm not going to
take the Ravens. Well,
but I think it's going to be a lot closer game than what people. If anybody out there is looking at any spread that's more than 3, y'all crazy. I think it's going to be.
I don't think anybody. Well, if anybody thinks it's going to be a big.
I'm gonna see what is the spread on this game.
A big spread. I don't know why. Because even today they were was it Lamar Jackson they were talking to? Or it was either Harbaugh or Lamar Jackson. And both, then they were saying, they were like, we played, because they were asking them, they said, well, how do you feel about playing the Texans again? Because y'all already played them and you beat them, blah, 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 blah. And I think it might have been Lamar Jackson. And he was like, that's not the same Texans team that we
It's
played.
not. But
and
that's
not
the same Texans team, but apparently Vegas is trying to.
But I didn't realize, when he said the beginning of the season, but I didn't realize it was actually really the beginning of the season, was the very first game. But he was like, that's not the same Texans team that we played. And the reporter asked him again, he said, but y'all beat them by, and Lamar Jackson was like, that's not the same Ravens. He's like the same Texans team
18 weeks ago.
Yeah, he was like, he said, because he asked the reporter, he was like, have you been watching the film? Because Lamar Jackson was like, bruh, quit tripping. Like, that's going to be a battle we got.
Well, here's the funny part. It's going to be a battle, but I guess they trying to get the Texans some bulletin material. They got them -9. They got the Ravens is a 9-point favorite. Like I get it. The Ravens.
Well, because they're at home. Because they're
the
at
Ravens
home.
have been, when they get on the roll, it's hard to stop them. But
yeah, because they're at home. They're the 1 seed. I get the 9 points. I can see that. Now, if they had something like 14 or something like that, I'd be like, that's stupid. And honestly, that spread might change before we actually get to the weekend.
Yeah, it'll shift a little bit, but I think I would, like, if you told me 6, that's a touchdown. 9, that's a 2-score game. I guess.
I am hoping the Chiefs and Bills. I think that should be a good game.
What's the spread on that? I'm curious. I bet you the Bills are probably.
I'm assuming the Bills will be the favorite because they're at home.
Yeah, they're the favorite, but they are.
3 points?
What is Vegas? I think they be doing this stuff to get people to bet, I guess. Because how you gonna tell me the Bills are only a 2.5-point favorite over the Chiefs? Did y'all watch? Did you see the Chiefs team I saw struggle with the Dolphins? Man, the
First
Bills.
Of all, have you seen the Chiefs
right
struggle
now.
off? Have you seen the Chiefs struggle all season?
But
Let's start there.
On a roll right now, man. Good Lord.
Yeah, Josh Allen is because with the Steelers game yesterday, of course, I left before it was over because I went to the sports bar to watch the Eagles with my crew. But before I left, I was in a group chat and they were talking about the game or whatever, and they were like, well, this game, they were like, the Steelers are still kind of in it, and somebody was like, nah, this game is over. And everybody in the chat was like, hold on, Josh Allen is really good at keeping other teams in games. So we was like, relax on that. It's too early to call it because it's just like it was right before halftime. So we were like, it's too early to call it because Josh Allen would come out in the third quarter and throw 3 interceptions. And old boy was like, oh, you right. He was like, yeah, y'all right. It might be too early to call it. I was like, hold on, because we just don't know which Josh Allen we're going to get for the whole game. We got to see. But he did good. But, he's suspect to keep you in the game.
Yeah, I think the thing I would say about the Chiefs-Bills game is, to your point, the Chiefs, what we know isn't going to happen because it hasn't happened. So if it does, it'll be a surprise. And we'll talk about the surprise of the Packers here in a second. But I just don't see the Chiefs putting up 30. But I can see the Bills putting up 30. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like if Josh Allen isn't Josh Allening, it's a verb or adjective, whatever we call it. Then if he isn't doing that, they're going to put up 30. You know what I'm saying? And even if he is doing it, they're going to put up 30. So it's just a matter of, because we've seen them throw 2-3 interceptions and they still put up 35. Like, so it's like,
that's fair.
I'm just saying the Chiefs, they have not been scoring 30, 35 all year. So I mean, how do you bet against Patrick Mahomes and then any game that he's in? Any game that he's in with the referee.
We've also never seen Patrick Mahomes on the road in the playoffs. So I feel like,
good point.
We've never. This is all new territory. So we're gonna have to see what he does on the road because this will be his first game.
I mean, and not only Patrick Mahomes, but there were players there before Patrick Mahomes got there. Kelsey was there already, all that. But I'm just saying, this regime, you're right. The last 4 or 5 years, they haven't been. Yeah, good point.
I've been on the road.
Good point.
Now, as far as coaching goes, like Andy Reid on the road, that ain't never been his problem. So but we don't know what the players gonna do on the road.
About to say, but you pointed out one series. Like we talked about coordinators earlier. You pointed out one thing earlier in the season, and it seems like it's still part of the process. Is they don't have Eric Bieniemy.
They do not. Because let me tell you something. What they still are not clicking with is Matt Nagy. So are you taking the Bills or the Dolphins?
Bills,
not the Dolphins, the Chiefs.
I'm taking the Bills. I don't think Josh Allen. I am going to go with the Bills and the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, and if that happens, dang, I'm gonna probably take Lamar to get to a Super Bowl, but it'll be hard. Like it really depends on how they do it. If the Bills come out and do the same thing they've been doing and put up 30 and look explosive, and Josh Allen looks, he might throw a pick here, but he looks pretty good. and then you look at the Ravens and they do their thing. That's going to be a hell of a game. I will say that, but I'm going to take Josh Allen over the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs they're not as bad as the Dolphins played through the third quarter. If the offense would have just scored a few points, it would have changed the whole trajectory of that game. We just couldn't do anything, and I don't think the Bills are going to be like, oh, y'all going to give us a chance to score? We're going to score. It's going to be interesting, but I'll take the Bills. I'm going to take the Bills on that. I don't know if I really care, honestly. I mean, I'm trying not to be like biased because I kind of want to see Lamar Jackson in the Super Bowl. I just want to see it. Let me be I like
clear.
the dude. I like Lamar Jackson.
let me be clear.
I wanted him to come to Miami this year.
We have reached the point in the season for me where I am passenger 57.
Understood.
I'm betting on everybody black. Okay, I'm pulling for everybody black. Okay. I'm betting on everybody. I am passenger 57 out here. I'm always betting on black. This is where we are at the point in the season. So right now, I know the Texans and the Ravens are playing each other. I'll take either one. I'm be honest. I'm gonna take the Ravens in this game, but I'm not gonna be mad if the Texans go because they got the black head coach and the black quarterback. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens. They got the black QB. If it comes down to Buffalo and the Ravens, I'm going for the black QB. Okay, I'm keeping it a bill. This is where we are. Okay, this is where we are.
It's all good.
NFC side of the ball. Let's go Jordan. Okay, going with the black QB.
Let's talk about Jordan Love, bro. Let's
talk about Jordan Love and how about them Cowboys?
Well, I mean,
how about them Cowboys?
I'm not gonna get on Lenise. I just
listen. Let me be clear.
I tried to come to your side of it. I tried. I just was like, this is horrible.
Understand this. Nobody wanted to be wrong like me when I said that. Okay.
I know.
I wanted to be so wrong when I was like, it feels different. I was so happy that I was wrong.
The only reason.
But to be clear, I didn't think I was going to be that wrong. Like, I felt like if Dallas loses to Green Bay, or I felt like Dallas was going to beat Green Bay. I thought they would have lost in the divisional round. That's what I thought. I thought they would have lost in the divisional round.
Well, that's been the true MO of what they've been doing the last couple of years. But.
Right. I was like, they're going to lose in the divisional round. Yeah. If I'm wrong, that's where it's going to happen. I had absolutely no idea they was going to come out and wet the bed in the Wildcard Weekend.
And I think with me, I don't ever, of course, all the analysts, they get paid all the money to talk about it and everybody this and that the other. That was a complete failure. You can't blame it. You can't blame one person, one side of the ball, one level. It was a complete catastrophic meltdown from coaching down to all the players that was on that field. Every single person on that field, every coach. Like, McCarthy's. That's the problem. Like, if you can sit there and have 5 different people saying 5 different things about a game, that's a complete meltdown. That's a complete meltdown.
and let me say this. Where we said a minute ago, coaching matters. Shout out to Matt LaFleur and his offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
And paying attention to the fact and what people have said all season long, that Dallas defense is a front-running defense. They are built to play with a lead. They're not good if they got to play from behind. Because typically nowadays, the trend is if you win the toss, you defer. Matt LaFleur, he won the toss and was like, nope, we're taking the ball. And they marched right down the field and they scored. And from that moment until the game ended, they never took their foot off the gas.
Bottom line is, and I think the thing I was saying is to people, you say they marched down the field, but there's purpose to how they did it. They ran
absolutely because they ran the ball,
ran the football, and Aaron Jones has traditionally had good games.
That man was hurt almost the whole season. He came back at the end of the season, right on.
But that's what I'm saying.
You don't know that he's been gone for what? He was out like 8-10 weeks.
They were smart about it because obviously they were thinking, hey, if we do make the playoffs, we need him healthy because they were spelling him with that other guy. I can't think of his name, but the point of Rivers or something, I can't think of his name. But the bottom line is they methodically put their offensive line on them little guys, little linebackers and those safeties with Quinn playing nickel and then sometimes dime packages on first down, which it's Dan Quinn, I almost feel like he sabotaged the game so he can go get this head coaching job in Seattle. Like, I like, dude, like, what are you doing?
Nah, dog, because listen, I don't agree with Stephen A. Austin, but I'm with Stephen A. Smith. If I'm anybody and I watch the meltdown collapse of that defense, Dan Quinn is off my list of head coaching now.
Yeah, but we've also seen offensive coordinators that can only score 13 points a game get head coaching jobs. Or defensive coordinators that couldn't stop a nosebleed get a coaching job in San Diego. So we've seen that, but at least Dan Quinn got some other stuff to lean on. Like, okay, yeah, that defense looked bad, but I got a Super Bowl to lean on. I got some Super Bowls. So, he got some stuff to lean on. But the point I'm making is that LaFleur was and when people say mastermind, I said, but you got to give credit where credit is due. It's like you don't necessarily want to give a head coach credit for doing his job. But there's so many coaches out there that aren't doing their job. You want to give them credit when they do their job.
I got to give you credit. And not only that, I got to give you credit for doing your job well.
Has they made any announcements about McCarthy or anything? I mean, I don't think he should technically get fired.
Well, he's got one more year on his contract.
But usually when coaches have that 1 year, if there's any other options, a lot of organizations will eat that year if they have another option.
And that's the thing. I don't know what other options they have. And also, if you're going to continue to hire the same type of coach, then why make the change? Until Jerry Jones decides he doesn't want a yes man and somebody that's going to be like Jimmy Johnson and just let that man do his job.
Oh, man.
Like, they're never going to get it and make it any different. And shout out to Jimmy Johnson, because did you see him at halftime during that game?
Nah, I didn't, but I'm just saying collectively he had a bad weekend because think about it. Both the teams he coached lost.
They did, but let me just tell you, he did, because they were talking because the game was on Fox. So when they were at halftime and they were asking, they were like, Jimmy, what would you say to your team right now at halftime, down 20? What was it, 27-7 or 10 something or whatever it was?
Yeah.
The foolishness at the time that it was. Mm-hmm. He was like, what would you say? They were like, what would you say to your team, right now to get them together and get them back in the game? And listen, he ripped off the dome, just straight off the cuff, a speech, and ran it for gave a 2-minute speech. And I was like, dang, put me in, coach. Michael Strahan dropped down and got into his defensive stance. He was
go look at that.
He was like, let's go.
Look at that.
Ross was like, yeah, coach. Like, both of them was ready to suit up and play. So I was like, I said, this the dude you need.
You need somebody like that. Like I told about, I was like,
he was like, this is what you got to tell your players, and this is what you got to say. And his whole speech has been what I have been saying for last 2-3 weeks, about the Eagles. We are at the point of the season where you need to make a play. I need you to make a play. And he was like, I need you to be the player that I know you can be, the superstar that you are. It is your time now to make a play and make something happen in this game. I was like, listen.
But you know what? Someone made a great point that I 300% agree with. And I think it's the reality versus the perception of Cowboys fans. You're a football person and you know sports, I pride myself on knowing multiple sports and being educated on not only playing different sports, but knowing different sports and how it works, even down to knowing hockey. I can, I'm like, damn, I can actually have a conversation about hockey and be in a conversation for longer than 5 minutes. But I'm just saying, but when you start thinking about the history of football or other sports, we tend to not give enough credit. This comes up in basketball a lot, but we tend to not give enough credit to really how good certain players were back in the 80s and the 90s and even the 2000s, right? We're in 2024. And people live in the moment because it's easy. It's what they see, it's what they have, and they want to say that this Dallas team is one of the most, if not the most talented team that they put together. Those teams in the 90s were stacked.
First of all, Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones needs to stop telling that lie.
That's what I'm saying.
Team I've ever had. Stop.
Troy Aikman, I remember jokingly admitted that he was the weak link. He was like, the teams were so good, I didn't have to do much at times. Here, Emmett, go run for 150. I throw one pass, a skinny post to Alvin Harper, another deep ball to Michael Irvin. Here's Novacek over here. Here's Moose over here. And then the offensive line had four Hall of Famers? Like, you're not going to say, and football was not tougher. More teams ran the ball, there were better tackles. You could hit people in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't this, don't hit this person here. You could hit the quarterback. So you can't sit here and tell me that, these people aren't living on whatever Jerry is pitching, whatever Steve Jones is pitching, whatever even Dak pitches, those teams were 3 times better than these teams. Ain't no way in hell. So when these teams get beat, because you can't sit here and tell me, I don't care how good Jordan Love played, you ain't gonna tell me that the Cowboys defense was gonna let that happen. From the 90s, let something like that happen. You ain't gonna tell me that
even if they were gonna get a flag for a cheap shot.
You got Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, Nate Newton. These dudes would have walked in that locker room and be like, yo, bro, we popping heads up in here. Y'all better get and you can't say who on that Dallas team. You talking about the coach saying anything? The coach wouldn't have had to say anything. You think Michael Irvin would be like, we down 25 points. You think Michael Irvin gonna be quiet? Like, there's nobody on that team that stood in front of everybody and said, we got to get, ain't nobody listening to Michael Parsons. Ain't nobody looking, but let Charles Haley walk up in that locker room. You know what I'm saying? Let Deion Sanders walk up in that locker room. Like, it's just different. And these people, everybody's living these. I'm like, stop trying to tell me that this talent, yes, they're good players relative to who they are now. But those were different people back in the 90s. You talking about bona fide Hall of Famers.
I was watching, I don't even know. I feel like it might have been First Take because I think it was Shannon that said it. And he was like, he said, listen, he said, the Cowboys, he was like, their defense, they talk about it, but they not about it. He was like, they talk about it. He said, but they not about it. And then he also said, because he always got something real funny to say for the people, where he was like, he said it about my Eagles. It was funny. He was like, the Eagles are like an ex. I like them. I don't trust them.
Right.
But I gotta be honest. The biting kneecap Lions, I like them. Okay.
You gotta like them because it's just again, it was cool to see them win a game. Shout out to Eminem.
Shout out to Eminem
for his begging and pleading. Even though Matt Stafford was not listening to him, because I'm gonna tell you,
that boy was balling.
Matt Stafford that dude still got it, man. He was making some. I'm like, what? This dude is unbelievable. Like, what do we like? He was making throws. I mean, this dude literally ducking down, throwing balls.
And who's their rookie wide receiver? Puka Nakua.
I'm getting the jersey.
I don't know what his name. I apologize, sir. If anybody from your family is watching this, I'm sorry.
I ordered the jersey. I'm getting the 17. I'm sorry.
You're getting the jersey.
That dude's a baller.
That young man balled. And to be fair, that was PI on that last play. They absolutely pulled him down to the ground.
No doubt.
That was terrible.
No doubt. But what I'm saying is,
throw the flag, ref. Throw the flag.
But that's the thing. You gotta really give them some credit, because they also had another rookie, I think, that went down. And then you got Kieran Williams, who's, I think, second year? He might even be a rookie. I think the running back, he might even be a rookie.
I think he's a rookie.
So think about it.
I think Kieran Williams is a rookie.
You got two receivers and a running back, and McVay out here, got Stafford out here, old man Stafford out here balling with that team. Detroit had to win that game. Like I tell people, Detroit had to win that, and I give them credit. They won it, but
they won it. They won it there because their defense did what our defense did at the beginning of the game with the Bucs. They held them to just field goal. Except they had that one touchdown. Everything else was field goal.
That was the difference in the game. The two
that
red
was
zone
the
field
complete difference
goals.
in the game. Because I was like, if the Rams had scored just one touchdown, that was ball game.
Shout out to the Lions. Oh, I didn't finish the game. You saw my message.
No, you gotta say it this way, Pete. To the kneecap biting.
What is it? The sand, the sawdust with the sawdust.
Sawdust kneecap.
That's in the oatmeal. Shoot, but anyway,
it was so bad.
So I think I'm taking. The Packers and the 49ers. You got to take the 49ers, I guess. But they ain't gonna be scared. The Packers ain't gonna be scared. The Packers ain't gonna be scared though.
They're not. They're playing with house money. They are still playing with house money, and I think
the 49ers defense will be a little bit. I mean, they'll be better. They you're not gonna just run the ball like that against the 49ers. Because I think the determining factor is we don't look at San Francisco defense as a fraud. So what would LaFleur be able to do to maneuver and score 21 points, 24 points against that defense? Not saying it can't happen. Anything can happen. But I just think the defense rested. The offense, you can still lean on McCaffrey. You can still lean on Debo, all those guys. And they're going to probably come in healthy, right, off the off weeks. So technically they've had 2 weeks off because they didn't play anybody the last week.
I was going to say they didn't play their starters the last week.
So you expect the offensive line to be healthy. So no, I don't think it's going to be 30-10 or something like that. But if you told me the final score was 31-21, I could believe that.
Yeah, I think the 49ers will win.
And then what? The Bucs and the Lions?
I'm taking the Lions.
You gotta take the Lions, man. But damn, boy, wouldn't it be funny? Freaking Baker Mayfield. Freaking Baker Mayfield like the cockroach at Wall-E, boy. You can't kill him. Baker he keep popping up, and then he just play well enough to just get another check. He get another check.
You said when it's all said and done, it's gonna be right.
You put a boot on Baker, he pop back up. I'm okay, and just keep on playing. Just keep on going. Baker Mayfield, man. We'll be seeing some more commercials next year.
So we haven't picked not one upset.
No, well, I picked the Rams, and that was wrong. Remember, I did pick the Rams.
No, I mean for this week.
No. I'm not. I don't. Here's the thing: it's football. We don't have dogs in the fight. We just want to see some good football.
I'm just here to watch some good football. Like I said, I'm pulling. I'm passenger 57. I'm rooting for everybody black. But if they don't win, I'm not going to be mad about it.
So, oh my goodness, man. Anyway, but shout out to the South Carolina women's basketball team. I get my shout out in. They won last night. Only undefeated team left in the Division 1. And she had on at the game, poor thing, she had on a Michael Vick at the game. Michael Vick 7. Yeah, but of course, after the game, she probably went and watched it somewhere and saw her Eagles lose. So y'all Eagles lose. But she had on Michael Vick. And shout out to Ashlyn Watkins. I get to the game. I missed the first couple of minutes. I sit down and look up.
That play was ridiculous.
And she steals the ball, and I'm sitting there trying to get my phone to get, and man, she went down and she punched it. I have never heard the crowd respond like that. Like, we didn't even know what happened the next two plays because Cats was just like all over the place. Like,
they were still trying to gather themselves.
oh my God, because she dunks in high school and stuff. So some people that are locally there have seen it.
Okay.
But the way she did it that game, just like to steal the pad, to steal the ball and then get the breakaway, and then I mean, it wasn't like barely. I mean, she put that thing down and just yanked the rim. I was like, oh my God, that's nasty. On,
yeah, when you dropped it, you put it in there, and I watched it. I was like, Jesus, man.
That girl's vertical. She's only 6'2.5", too, 6'3". It ain't like her vertical is ridiculous. Oh my God, man. Don be recruiting, man. She's local. She's a local product. But appreciate you. Peace out.
We'll do it again next week.
Yeah, take care.